Good evening and welcome to the KIXE Channel 9 production of No Veteran Left Behind. I'm Charlie Thompson, and with me this evening is John Minton, commander of the 1st Battalion of the Young Marines, and Annie Bennett, the California Regiment Sergeant Major. Good evening. Thank you so much both for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
Well, John, let's start out with you by telling me a little bit about yourself. You're a veteran, I believe,
Yes.
and how you got involved with Young Marines.
I'm a veteran of the U.S. Army first, and then I went into the Marine Corps a little bit later. And long story short, moved to Red Bluff, and somebody asked me to start a Young Marine unit, and I didn't know what that was. So I Googled it, and I said, where's this been all my life? And that was 6 years ago. And now I live in Red Bluff.
And how about you, Annie? How did you get involved with the Young Marines?
I was 14 years old and my dad saw an ad for it in the newspaper. And at the time I thought it sounded like fun to go through boot camp and get yelled at. So I went to a recruiting meeting and saw the video and decided that I wanted to join and try it out.
Now, is anyone else in your family was involved with the Young Marines? You just had first you heard about it?
No, ma'am. I was the first one to go in, and I'm still the only Young Marine in, but my parents are also involved as registered adults now.
Oh, excellent. And John, explain a little bit about the Young Marine organization to me.
It started in 1959 when a few good men got together in Waterbury, Connecticut, and they saw that there was a need for youth program in America that involved discipline. So these guys in Waterbury, Connecticut, they got together, and the Brass City Detachment of the Marine Corps League, and 50 years later there's 300 units with 3,000 adults and 12,000 youth.
Annie, what is the mission or the purpose of this Young Marines group?
The main point of the Young Marines is to keep America's youth drug and alcohol free. So we do a lot of drug demand reduction where we teach them about the dangers of drugs, alcohol, and tobacco. We also make sure that their school grades stay up so that they can go far, whether they want to go to college or get a job. And we also do a lot of community service.
Excellent. Excellent. And one of the things as I was doing my research, I was pleasantly surprised to learn that the Marines are funded nationally. Can you talk to me about how you guys are funded?
There's a certain amount of money that Congress allocates through the Marine Corps, and I believe it's around $1 million a year that is funneled down through the Department of Defense. And it's for the national programs. Each unit locally, we have to raise our own money, but that $1 million, and I think it was a little bit more this year, is, like I say, it comes through Congress, through the Marine Corps, and then it goes to our national headquarters.
Excellent. But locally, though, you still have to raise your own funds, correct?
Locally, we're responsible for raising our own funds, so everything that we receive is through donations, and sometimes the Young Marines go out and they do their own fundraisers to raise money for the unit, and it's all not for profit.
And you have quite a few opportunities for training and travel as a Young Marine in this organization throughout the country, correct?
Yes, ma'am. We have numerous leadership schools. There's 3 of them after you graduate from boot camp that you can go to. The National provides, so it can be anywhere in the United States. We also have programs called ACES and SPACES. ACES is the Army Cadet Exchange, where you can go to a foreign country for 2 weeks and train with the military youth in those different countries. We also have a Civil War adventure, Revolutionary War adventure, as well as space camps that the younger kids can get involved with as well.
That sounds very interesting. Are there any requirements for attending these trainings, John? I mean, can anyone who's a Young Marine go?
There are some qualifying criteria. So much drug demand reduction education each quarter. They have to take a physical fitness test, and the scores are dependent on their age and rank at the time. The money for those schools, must be borne by the individual, but they can go out and do fundraisers to raise that money.
Okay, excellent. Now, Annie, tell me a little about your experience with the Young Marines. I mean, how you moved up. You joined when you were 14, so 4 years ago?
Yes, ma'am.
4 years ago. And so, tell me about your experience as a Young Marine, the different things you've gotten to do, and how you've moved up so far in the organization.
Well, when I graduated from boot camp, I became the senior young Marine, so a lot of the responsibility was just kind of given to me, and I had to learn how to take it up and go with it so that our unit could get farther along. And it's been a great learning process, and I've been blessed with the opportunities. I've gone to Guam and Iwo Jima for the anniversary of the Battle of Iwo Jima with many of the veterans, and that was an amazing trip. I've also been to the Pentagon to receive a unit award for the Fulcrum Shield, which is a drug demand reduction award. We received that from the Department of Defense. I've been to New York, I went to DC 3 times this fall, and that's just a few of the things that the Young Marine has been able to allow me to do.
Excellent. And you're now the state sergeant major, so you're the
Yes, ma'am.
ranking enlisted person in the state?
Yes, ma'am. We only have enlisted ranks in the Young Marines. We don't go up to officer,
Oh.
but we do have billets. So I'm the billeted Young Marine Sergeant Major for the California Regiment.
And how has being part of the Young Marines changed your life?
It's given me a lot of discipline that I didn't have before. I learned we have 6 core values. We have honor, courage, and commitment, which we get from the Marine Corps, as well as teamwork, leadership, and discipline. And those are things that I've been able to really get to understand once I became a Young Marine and understand what they really mean. And I've learned to work as a team, to lead a team, as well as discipline myself to carry out something that I have committed to.
So to get to this point, you had to go through quite a bit of training.
Yes, ma'am.
And boot camp. So what was that like?
Boot camp was, I thought it was fun. I enjoyed every minute of it. It was hard, there were challenges, but my graduating class really came together as a team and we became a family, so it was easier to get through. I've been through junior leadership school, senior leadership school, as well as advanced leadership school, and that has just helped me to further myself in the program as well as help others to come up in the program.
Now I was reading that you children from the age of, or young children or young men and women, from the age of 8 to 18 can be involved in the Young Marines?
Yes, ma'am.
And so I was thinking about this and looking at the schedule for the boot camp that is from 0500 to 9 at night, and I'm thinking, my goodness, my 9-year-old daughter would have a meltdown. How do the small children handle that?
Well, it's hard for them, but it's hard for all of the ages we have. We make it so that it's a challenge. They find that they can go farther than they think they can. We also make sure that there's fun activities in each day, throughout the day, and definitely before they go to bed at night, so that they don't get homesick. And they enjoy it. They become a team and they work well together, and they have a good time.
And John, how do the Young Marines help out veterans within their communities?
They have the new Veterans Day or Veterans Appreciation Day. Each town or city in America is doing this now, and I believe that's in June. So the Young Marines help organize those things and hand out materials and for all the veteran service organizations and all the services. And then of course Veterans Appreciation Week, which revolves around Veterans Day. They're out there making sure that these veterans have just about everything that they need. And if there's no funding for that, then we just put the word out, and then a lot of people in the community come forward and help with those types of things.
Now, doesn't that tie back to one of your guiding principles?
Of community service, yes. That's one of the requirements. They have to have so many community service hours a year, and if they're falling behind, and of course in our unit we're lucky, they all want to be involved, and we're way over all the time.
Now, didn't you go back to Guam for part of a scholarship program?
Yes, ma'am. I got the Jimmy Trimble Scholarship, which is given out by a man by the name of Donald Mates, and he gives it out in honor of Jimmy Trimble, who fought with him on Iwo Jima. He was killed in action, so Mr. Mates gives out this scholarship to one female Young Marine and one male Young Marine, and then we also get to go to Guam and Iwo Jima as well as receive the scholarship money.
And you had some interesting guests accompanied you to Guam and Iwo Jima, correct?
Yes, ma'am. We had many of the Iwo Jima veterans go with us. I got to talk to quite a few of them. There were so many of them. It was hard to get around to meet them all, but it was just so amazing to be with them and to hear their stories and find out what it was like. So for some of them, it was their first time back since the battle. So it was a tear-jerking experience.
John, what if someone's watching this show and they'd like to get a Young Marines group or unit started in their area? Is that a difficult thing to do?
It's actually pretty easy. There's a lot of help. Once you go to the national website, which is youngmarines.com, you put in your zip code and they'll say which unit is closest to you, and then that person is supposed to go and help if there's no Marine that's living in that area that they want to start a unit. But it doesn't take a Marine to start a unit. That can be waived from Washington, D.C. Anybody who's interested in just a youth group, it is based on the principles of the Marine Corps, but it's really about the youth and the discipline. So we have veterans from all the services that are commanders of various units, and they know the value is just about the kids.
How many Young Marines are there across the United States? You mentioned earlier there was 300?
Well, 300 units, and each unit, it just depends on the community, what size the unit is. They have them from 15 kids up to over 100, depending on the community. So there's about 11 or 12,000 kids at this point, and about 3,500 adult volunteers.
Wow, and there's some overseas too, I think you mentioned.
Okinawa and England, I think, in Europe.
So tell me a little bit about what your plans are now, Annie.
Well, I'm graduating this year, so my plans are to go to a community college to do my general ed, and then to transfer to a CSU down in Northridge for a deaf studies program, so I can become a sign language interpreter and then get a degree in business. But I'm definitely looking forward to staying involved with the Young Marines as a registered adult and to help the Young Marines that are still in the program now to become leaders.
So how many do you have in your local unit?
I think we're at 38 right now. We just did a boot camp, and so we're planning another boot camp. Annie's actually planning this boot camp for the end of summer, and I'm guessing it's going to be a large number again this time.
Now you're planning the boot camp, you're organizing it yourself, and you felt like you needed to pick the hottest time of the year, so you picked August?
Absolutely. Well, it has to be a challenge, so why not make it the hottest time of year? Well, I planned and organized our last boot camp with the help of our NCOs and our registered adults. And this one, since I'm graduating out of the program, and it is a Young Marine run program, I'm passing it on to the next senior Young Marines, and I'm going to be behind them, helping them to organize it and plan it, so that once I'm out of the program, they'll know how to do the things that have been going on in our unit.
Do you have veterans, a lot of veteran parents who's put their children in the Young Marines? Is that a common thing that you find?
It's common. In our unit, it's probably 50-50. I'm going to take a stab at veterans from mostly the Marine Corps, but from the other services as well. And like Annie said, they run their own program. We're there basically for liability purposes. We got to supervise them, but they run their own program. They plan everything.
The youth do?
The youth plan. 99% of it is planned by them, and like Annie said, she's training up the ones that are coming behind her to do what she's been doing, and it's just passing it from one generation to the next or one class to the next, but they do 99% of the work. We just sit around and watch them.
And it's not all, so you said it was 50-50, it's 50-50 from non-military families, and see, I think the assumption would be that most everyone is there from a military family.
We have some law enforcement. Annie's parents, mom's a teacher, dad's a firefighter. We have them from just medical people. We have counselors, that kind of thing, just from all walks of life. And it's one big team. We all work together as a team.
So tell me what you would like to communicate to families and young people out there about what the Young Marines can do for them and for their community.
Well, the Young Marines are going to be out there in their schools. They're going to be talking to other youth about the dangers of drugs and alcohol, tobacco, gangs, violence, those kinds of things. But they also get involved in all of the different communities. So we're in high demand right now for everything. I mean, the Young Marines, they are asked to do all kinds of parades, fundraisers for other organizations, like St. Elizabeth's Hospital. They helped at a crab feed. They waited on tables and they set the place up and tore the place down. And at the community center down there, they have something called Goldie's Luncheon, and they do all that also. I mean, for senior citizens, then they go wait on the tables and clean up and put it up and tear it down. Those kinds of things. They're just very involved in the community. In fact, right now, there's not enough time on a calendar. They're in such high demand that they're actually turning things down now because they don't have time.
And the kids are really enjoying. They enjoy this.
They love it, and all the people that they serve just love having the kids around. It's just a great relationship.
And Annie, I'd ask you the same question for other young people that are out there, or their parents that would be hearing this. What do you want to tell them about the experience and what they can learn from it, and how it can benefit them, and if it's any fun?
Yes, it definitely is a lot of fun. It's a lot of hard work, especially once you get up in the ranks, but it just helps you later in life. Once you go out and get a job, it'll teach you how to go and get a job, how to make your resume. It'll teach you how to be responsible when you get a car with your money and all the different things that you'll need once you graduate from high school. It helps you with respect. It'll give you respect for your parents. You'll clean your room without your parents asking you to.
That would be really great.
I know a lot of parents would appreciate that. And then for the youth, it's a lot of fun. They get to meet people that normally they wouldn't meet. They might find someone in their class that's in the Young Marines also, and then they get a bond and they can help each other in school and Young Marines and in different areas. It's a great program.
How is it like? I've had some people ask me or assume that it's like an ROTC program. Is it similar to an ROTC program, or is it?
I think it's similar. In fact, we have some of them move on to ROTC programs when they move out of the area, or some come from ROTC programs when they move into the area. We've had both situations. But the thing about ROTC, it's usually out of a school setting, and this is extracurricular activity. So it's not really with a school. Ours isn't anyway. Some of them across the country might be, but ours is just, we have drills every other week. And
so what does a drill look like?
Well, it depends on the hours that you arrive there. Normally we do ours for 4 hours, but now we're moving them to 6 because there's not enough time in a day, and they actually want more hours.
The Young Marines do?
Yes, and they arrive at a drill in their uniform, ready for inspection. And then it's just depending on the plan of the day, they could be doing physical fitness training, rifle drill. We kind of have an idea. We want to put together a silent drill squad with the rifles. And Annie is usually the one who schedules a lot of the training, so she's always throwing something fun in there. So the last thing that they do, they're going to be doing something fun, and it gives them a reason to come back.
And that's drill is one day a month?
Usually it's twice a month on a Saturday, but it just depends because sometimes we only do one because the other weekends they're busy doing other things in the community through the Young Marines.
And one of the things that I think is exciting, especially in this day and age when we're talking about being health conscious, is the emphasis on physical training. Tell me about that and the physical training requirements that you have.
Every 6 months they have to do a physical fitness test, a PFT. There's so many push-ups, sit-ups, a run, and they have to do it all in a certain amount of time. But usually when we're doing the training, it's just not all hard work. We mix it up with a lot of different fun things, which makes it's hard work, but it seems easier because they're having a lot of fun. And so we push that a lot, and we get into health and nutrition, what kind of foods to eat, what kind of foods not to eat. Talk about sedentary lifestyles, versus the video games and stuff, and we're trying to wean them off
couch potatoes.
That. We don't want any couch potatoes. Even ones that are kind of lazy, their parents are telling us like, wow, they're out there doing this, they're out there doing that, and as far as cleaning the rooms, we can actually see their floor now, that kind of stuff, So, but we're making it fun. So when they're involved with us like that, like I say, they give them a reason to come back. But it's just constant. It's not really just 100% push. They mix it up with fun, and they want to do it.
Now, so you do the training schedules? I mean, to what extent do the young Marines organize these drills?
Well, for the drills, they're a little bit easier. I do a lot of the drills, but I also delegate out to our senior NCOs, and they have stepped up and taken on that responsibility themselves. They make sure that there's an hour for drug demand reduction. They make sure that we do physical fitness and inspection, fun activities for team building, we do games, and then if there's anything else that we need to add in there, they'll make sure that it gets done. So that's what we do for our drills.
Now, what about basic training? What is basic? I mean, I know what basic training looked like when I did it, but what does basic training look like in a day or over a week?
Well, we usually do ours for 4 or 5 days, and then we have them stay out with us instead of going home and coming back. We have done that before, but it's better to have them stay out there. We have them do fire watch at night. We teach them how to stand guard. We teach them close order drill. We teach them how to march and do the facing movements. We give them map and compass classes. We give them physical fitness classes. We do land navigation and field skills in a variety of areas, public speaking. And then we also have, sometimes the police will come out, and we had a K-9 unit this last time. We got to do the fire department came out and they gave us a first aid class and a lot of fun activities.
Well, that sounds like very useful stuff that you guys are learning out there. What is your plan for the young Marines going forward?
For our unit, it's kind of hard to go. We've in 5 years, these guys have put together an awesome program. We got out of their way. They went to the Pentagon and received the Fulcrum Shield from the Secretary of Defense. And just this last week, they were the Unit of the Year for the whole country. And they did all that. So we're going to try to fine tune some things, but they're
when you're already
doing
the
it.
Unit of the Year, where do you go?
They did all this. We got out of their way, and they did all this themselves. So it just depends. They're going to tell us what they want to do, and then they'll plan it, and we'll make it happen for them. They go out and get their own money. We don't give them any money. They go out and get it themselves.
That's very impressive. And what does a unit do to get the Unit of the Year award?
A lot of things. There's no one thing that you can do to be named Unit of the Year, and it's not up to us. It's up to national headquarters, the ones that oversee all of the units. And I think what did it for our unit this year was how dedicated we've become, and the Fulcrum Shield, how much work our unit has put into that, and the things that we've done since then to make sure that our communities are aware of the dangers of drugs, alcohol, and tobacco. So it's a number of things that go on.
Now, if someone wants to find a Young Marines organization, how would they go about doing that?
Just go to the website, which is www.youngmarines.com, and there's a place on the main page there where you can type up your zip code, and then the closest unit will be near you. There's not a lot of units. There are some areas that don't have any units, and then it'll say what the requirements are. There's the main page. There's all kinds of information there, but typing in your zip code is the main thing.
And there's and anyone can join. Anyone between the ages of 8 and 18.
8 and 18. Some units make them wait till they're 10. I don't like to take them over the age of 16 because when they're 18, we have to discharge them. So we want a couple of years to give them some opportunities to be able to do some of the things that Annie's done.
And what about financial assistance? Since you guys are raising your own money, how important is that?
We have a couple of veterans down there that say, if you have a kid who needs some money to join this program, let me know, but I don't want my name known. We have one veteran, he's both from Iwo Jima and Korea, and he donates a lot of money, but we require that child to go and meet that person behind the scenes and maybe videotape them for the Library of Congress project for the veterans. We have a lot of people like that in the community who just, they're not even connected to the military, they just like what they see, and they give us money behind the scenes. So we've raised a lot of money to be able to do that. Of course, we're always looking for more to be able to apply it to the program.
And if someone wanted to support the Young Marines program, Annie, how would they go about contacting you? And
They could contact us by dropping by our office. We have a local office in Red Bluff. They could go online, and Mr. Mitten's information is on there at the unit locator site, and then they can contact him. We can get them applications, and we can show them what we do so that they can donate for us.
Yes, that seems to be what's very successful for you, is that people can see what a great job you're doing and how much the kids are learning and growing, and they really seem to want to support the program.
If you go to our local website, it's just TaMaCountyYoungMarines.com, and it's all of the achievements that these guys have done. We have it on there. We would love to get a unit started in Reading and one in Chico. Been working on that for about 3 years, but things will happen in its own time. But if they need help, we will help them free of charge.
Excellent. Well, thank you both so much for coming and talking with me about your excellent program. I've learned a lot, and I think it's just fascinating. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for joining us. I'm Charlie Thompson, and let's work together to ensure that no veteran is left behind.